Doing commissions is a great revenue stream for your art business. I'm going to tell you why I stopped doing commissions, but before I do that, let me share with you what's worked and what hasn't worked for me. All right, so you're ready to do commissions. And how did you get to that point? If you're like me, you may have gotten there because someone asked to create something for them. And that's what happened to me. And I wasn't prepared, but at that point I knew that I needed to start preparing, and that meant doing a lot of research and trying to figure out how I was going to do commissions. The other reason you may be doing a commission is maybe you've gotten to a point in your art career where you're feeling very confident about the work that you're producing and you're ready to start advertising to folks that you can do commissions for them. And as I mentioned before, it's a great revenue stream, and I think it's something that you should consider. The first time someone asked me to do a commission, I was first of all super flattered because someone's asking me to create something specifically for them. But it also meant that there was a ton of questions in my head, like, how am I going to do this? What should I be asking for? How much money should I be asking for? How do I communicate with that customer? How do I get the ball rolling? All of those things I wasn't aware of how to do, and I was certainly kind of at the starting point trying to figure those things out. So in the beginning, what I did was when the first commission that I got, someone asked me to create something for them that was kind of similar to something that I had already created and I sold. You know, I thought, well, okay, this is pretty easy. So I asked them, of course, what size they wanted and what colors they wanted. Was it the same colors as the original or something different? So I collected that information and I went off and I created the piece. Now, when I first started, I just simply said, the price of the original was this, and they wanted the same size. It's the same price. There was no increase in price. There was no contract in place. There was no deposit. I started, very simple because I didn't know any better. That was the way I started my commissions. One thing that I learned, that if you don't have a contract in place and you don't require a deposit, then you may have a client that is not fully vested in that piece of art that you're creating, which sometimes might be okay because you may be able to resell it. But if it's something that's very specific, then you're going to have a harder time doing that. You may end up not having a client that wants to purchase it. That's exactly what happened to me. When I was doing my very first commissions and I was creating, flying by the seat of my pants trying to figure things out, I didn't have the contract in place. I didn't ask for a deposit, and I had one specific client that after I created the piece and I sent it to them, there was no more communications. They were not responding to my emails, and so I had to write that off as them not being interested. And of course I want to say stuck with a piece. I wasn't really stuck with it. I believe that in the end I ended up selling that piece to somebody else, but it wasn't a very good experience for me. Then I switched things up a bit and I tried a new approach. My new approach was that I have a contract in place, and it's something where I collect some information about the customer. I also get their signature on the bottom line that says that they are committed to this. In addition to that, there's also a requirement of a 50% deposit. At that point, I did have the contract, I was requesting the deposit, and also I did some changes to my pricing structure. Instead of just being the price of the artwork, what I did was I did the price of the artwork plus 25%. If you watched my video on pricing, which I'm going to link up here, I talked about creating a spreadsheet where you can have all that information. What I did was on my pricing spreadsheet, I added one more column in there, and it was for my commission. So I took the base price and I put in a formula times 25%, and I came up with the price for my commissions. That worked really great. I was able to just go through my list depending on which size they wanted. I found the price and I provided that. Worked great for me. In addition to that, I also said plus shipping, and make that clear up front in my email communications that it wasn't just the cost of the artwork, but it was also shipping was separate. And then of course, if they lived in California, then I would have to charge local tax as well. I felt that 25% was really going to be treated more like combat pay. And the reason for that is because commissions are hard. I'm sure a lot of you folks that are watching this have done commissions, and you know what it's like to have to create something based on someone's specifications. Even though you're trying to create something that's very similar to artwork that you've already created in the past, there are still usually a list of some type of requirements, and it could be as simple as colors. A lot of times folks want specific colors, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm okay with that. Besides, I love all color, so I don't have an issue with colors. But the 25% is really my time invested in trying to create the perfect piece of artwork for the client. And that's why I chose 25%. I know some folks choose a little bit less. I've talked to another artist where he actually ups his price by 50%. So his base price plus 50%, and he gets work. He still gets commissions with that high of amount. My experience has been, while doing commissions, other than that first person or that one person early on that never responded to my emails after I created something for them, my experience has been really great in terms of clients loving my work. Very rarely do I get a client that even asks me to make changes when I'm creating the artwork. So it's been a really great experience in that regard. Even some of the pieces where I felt like I wasn't 100% sure that they were going to be happy with it, I was so pleasantly surprised. I remember one time last year I was creating something that I wasn't sure about it. I wasn't sure that I was actually getting to what they were envisioning. And when I sent it over to them, they were ecstatic. And I couldn't believe that I actually got it right. And it was something that they truly wanted. So there are times when I just get it just right, and it takes me a long time to get there. However, there are other times where I send it to the client and there might be a couple of changes. So I do allow for changes, and once we make those changes, then they're super happy with it. Expect that to happen. Not every client is going to be super ecstatic that first time that you present the finished piece. You may have to make a couple of minor adjustments to it. You can be open to doing that. I was always open to it. Some folks are not, so it depends on how you feel about doing, working with the client and making the adjustments needed to make sure that they're 100% happy with it. After going through all of that experience with doing those commissions, there was something that just wasn't working for me. And so I recently made some changes again to the way that I do commissions. And what I ended up doing was I was trying to find a way to make them feel less stressful to me. What I did was I removed the contract. There was no contract anymore. I removed the 50% requirement. No more requirement to put down any money. And I also removed the obligation that you have to purchase. There was no obligation. If you weren't happy with it in the end, you didn't have to buy it. And they could still make some minor adjustments to the piece before I call it finished and before I varnish it. I did this for a while, and it did kind of ease things for me a little bit. It made it a little bit easier, a little less stressful, but not entirely. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit and why that is. During all the times that I worked with clients, one of the things that was really important is that I collected information from them so that I got a better understanding or a fuller understanding of what they were looking for. In addition to asking them to pick a couple of pieces of my art that I would use as an inspiration, I also asked for colors that they liked or colors that they didn't like, that they didn't want me to use at all, and also, of course, the size of the artwork. One of the things that I've been offering lately is if they would send me an image, a picture, a photo from their cell phone, send it to me of the room where they wanted the art installed, a picture of the wall where it should be, and also a little bit of, something in the room. Then I would import that into an app called Wall Picture. This is the app that I use for putting my art into rooms. I upload their room into that app, and then I added my art into that room based on the size of art that they were looking for and based on the inspiration pieces that they gave me. This gave them an opportunity to see what the art may look like in their room, and it's been very successful in helping them figure out which colors that they want to use in that room, and also what size of art that they wanted to use. I've had a lot of success with that, so I would suggest that you give that a try as well. I'll put a link down below to Wall Picture app that you can install on your phone and use it for that purpose, but also for the purpose of putting your art in a room setting when you're posting it to social media. My background is in customer service management and corporate America, working for a lot of high-tech companies. Customer service is kind of ingrained in me, and I want to provide the best customer service at all times. That includes, when I do commissions, providing the best service. That service is not just responding within 24 hours of a request. It is a good turnaround time. So if somebody's contacting you about a commission, make time to respond in an appropriate amount of time. And then from there, working with them step by step, sending out the contract, helping them understand the contract if you're using a contract, spelling out within the email all of your terms so that they have a full understanding of what you're looking for and what they should expect. The other thing that I like to do is, once I get started, I even let them know, okay, I've received your deposit, and then I let them know, okay, this week I'm going to start on your piece. Now, my type of art doesn't look very good when it's in the early stages, as you may know if you've watched my other videos. So I don't like to send progress photos because it's not a true understanding of what that final piece is going to look like. So if I'm going to send them a progress picture, it's going to kind of throw them off a bit. So I don't like to do that. I wait until I'm 90 to 95% done, and then I will send a photo. And if they sent me their room picture, I actually uploaded it and put it into their room so they can see what it looks like in their room. And at that point, I allow them to make some changes. So keeping them updated each step of the way, letting them know. And sometimes I'll say, okay, next week I should be about 90 to 95% done. I'm going to email you when I get to that stage so that you can see the artwork. So the communications is really key and important when you're working with a client, and keeping them aware of everything that you're doing step by step. I think if you let several weeks go by without any information, they're going to start wondering if you're still there and if you're still going to be doing the commission for them. If you're doing portraits, for example, then you may be able to send progress pictures. There may be some other styles of artwork that lend themselves to being able to send progress pics without the client feeling like they're not being able to envision the end product. If you'd like to include a contract for your clients, then I'm going to share with you the one that I use, and you're going to find it down below. Now, the one that I use is one that has been modified a little bit over the years, but the original one that I got, the template that I originally got, is from Robert Burridge. If you are not familiar with Robert Burridge, I'm going to include his link down below and you can check him out. I was lucky enough to take a workshop with him several years ago in Mendocino, California. Spent 5 days of workshops, and it wasn't just all about art, but it was about running an art business, which was absolutely wonderful, and it's something that I wasn't expecting during his workshops. And he shared with us his template for contracts, and he said we can share that with anybody we'd like. So I am sharing it here with you, and I'm including a link to his website so that you can get to know Robert Burridge a bit better, and you'll also find a lot of his videos on YouTube right here. One thing I would recommend, that if you are going to use the Word document that I am providing to you, make your changes, save it, and then do a file save as a PDF. And that way you can send a PDF copy to your client. That ensures that there are no changes being made to the original contract. I bet you want to know why I stopped doing commissions. So let me share that with you now. The reason I decided to stop doing commissions is because I realized that I was under so much stress, and I really believed that making those modifications to my requirements for doing commissions was going to ease up on that stress and make it a lot easier for me. Well, in the end, it didn't. It wasn't the client, it was me. I put a lot of stress on myself, and I am the type of person that wants to ensure that other people are super happy with the work that I create. And so that caused me to put extra stress on myself. And I just can't seem to remove that. And I'm okay with that. I totally understand that about myself now. And after spending years doing commissions and having such a hard time with them, I'm feeling better and better about this decision to, I'm not going to say I'm going to stop entirely, but I'm certainly going to take a break from it and kind of regroup and see how it goes without doing commissions, and see how I feel if I do get offered to do a commission, and what's my gut feeling at the time that a request like that comes in. I can tell you right now, I got a request about a week ago or so, and I had made this decision a couple of weeks ago. So I got a request last week for someone to do a commission, and it was interesting because I really paid attention to my gut reaction to that, and my gut reaction immediately was, no, I can't do this. I'm not going to do this to myself. I'm going to focus on creating art the way that I love to create art, and that's very intuitively. And by doing commissions, I'm really doing the opposite, because a contract has a list of requirements in it, and that's just so opposite of being an intuitive painter. When you've got a list of requirements, even if it's just a list of colors that need to be included within that painting. So I'm really excited about taking a break from doing commissions, and like I said, I'm not going to say I'll never do them again. I don't like to say never for a number of things, but for this I'm definitely going to take a break from it. It may work for you as well, or it may not. You may decide that commissions is perfect, you love commissions, it's a great revenue stream for you, or you may get to the point like I am, which is deciding that moving away from commissions is the best thing for my business right now and for myself. So you are going to be the best person to make that decision, and don't let other folks, influence that. You've got to do what feels good to you. You got to listen to your gut and go with that. With that said, I'm going to wrap things up here today. I hope that this little video on talking about commissions was helpful to you. If I didn't answer your burning question about commissions, please leave me a question down below in the comment section, and I will respond. I respond to all comments that are posted. And also, if there's something that you're doing that is working really well for you, please share it. I know a lot of people read all of the comments down below to get more information that maybe I missed, or that they just want to learn from other folks. So if you've got something to share, please share. Thank you so much for being here today. If you'd like this video, as usual, please give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed already, I would love to have you subscribe, and then hit the bell, and that way you will be notified when I send out my next video. Have a super wonderful and creative day. Take care.